What's going to differentiate what we do with a lot of Filipinos, most of the Filipinos, actually all of them that I'm aware of, are introducing their Western European concepts of the sword. And it's not really introducing, it's reintroducing. Because initially the Filipino arts were stemming from the Spanish rapier. And the reason why the Filipinos went to the cut is because they couldn't carry rapiers, obviously, because they belonged to Spanish, so they adapted them to their cutting weapons. Their bows, their barongs, their cambulans, their heavy broadswords, cambulans, so forth. The thing that we do different is we introduce the 8 parries of the European sword arts. We introduce them as they are. And we can compare them with what we have in the Filipino arts, which I do in the master text and the manual. But we also do that with the dagger. But we also, I encourage everyone to get some practice foils, epées, and sabers, just to be able to converse with maybe a fencer. And what we diverge from the Western fencer is because we deal with pragmatic application of the blade art, whereas they stick with the sport aspect. But if we can converse, at least we can see some of the essences of the sword art. Like just as in Kendo. Kendo is a sport. But as I said before, in my other cases, in my other workshops, a master who practices Kendo, but also the Iai Jitsu and Kenjutsu, knows that there are a lot of things that you can do, or you can do in Kendo that you wouldn't do, can't do, and wouldn't want to do in a real duel with the kind. So in that same spirit, we take some of the principles of Western fencing and apply it, but in a pragmatic fashion to our combat-oriented art, blade art. One of the first things that we do, let me first of all, for those of you that will go on and take up some of these. This is the foil. Very light, one little bar, steel, little metal, protruding bar. The foil is very light. It has a lot of rules in it called right-of-way conventions. And the reason why they have the rules and conventions is to develop finesse and ability to attack certain targets. The target is just the torso, not the arms, just this torso from here up and the neck down. And that makes it pretty good for someone trying to develop their thrusting talents. In the sport aspect, I cannot attack you until I clear your weapon away from you. And then I can attack. If you attack and I move simultaneously and attack, that's an invalid hit. Again, in reality, that would probably be a good thing, but in sport, when you're learning the discipline, learning your disengage, learning your cutovers, learning your parries, it teaches you proper sport and proper technique. And that's the value of it, okay, in learning that, learning your targeting, being able to hit a suspended ball from a string or a little small quarter-sized ring on a wall, you know, and it teaches you your thrusting. From there, we go on to the epée. Now, the epée was developed because people got tired of that. Hey, wait a minute, that's not real pragmatic circuit. So what they did, they came up with the epée. It's a little bit heavier, the belt guard's heavier. And what they did was, instead of targets being upper torso, they said, let's make the entire head, the entire body, a target. So they're able to thrust the toe all the way up to the head and to the hand. What happened was, they figured they would throw away the rules, so they had what they call no conventions. They had no conventions, no right-of-ways. So anybody can get hit any time, at any place, even at the same time. The problem with that was, in reality, they would come out with somewhat good technique, but if both people can die, and both people can thrust, and both people can hit at the same time, both people die. So they had to come up with a set of rules that the first one to reach 5 touches wins. If 2 people hit 5 touches simultaneously, usually that's the old rules, I don't know if they are now, and they would both lose. So you had to make sure you get your last touch before he did, before he did. But anyway, that's where this came from. Supposed to the real duel. But again, as with the foil, the stance would be here. See how you can see all this forearm? But what happened was with the FA, since the forearm can get also hit, and they're more elongated. So you couldn't get my forearm. So I would try to thrust you here, thrust your foot, come across. I still couldn't go outside the strip, fencing strip. They came, last weapon came along was the saber. The saber was taken from the cavalry saber, and so consequently, when you ride a horse, only real targets you have are from the upper torso on up, everything, head, arms. So that's why they have that target area. The other thing too about saber fighting, when you're with foil or ebe, you can have your hand out this way for balance and so forth. But with saber, it's a cutting weapon. So if you have your hand out this way, liable to get chopped off. So what they did is counterbalance the heavier weapon, which would be like this saber. Counterbalance here with this here, and they would fight here. Okay. And the saber is, again, a cutting weapon. It can't thrust, it's primarily cutting. And the reason why I'm going through all this, a good poem was brought up by Keith, one of his students. When we worked with a multiple count, when we work with a multiple count, four count of the hoopah, we work with different mindsets. First, we say we're going to work with the stick mindset. Then we can work all the multiple hits, look fancy, hit all over the place, cut, and so forth. But if I say we're going to work cut, let's say we're going to work sword mindset or the cutting saber mindset, then all this stuff goes out the window. All this finesse movement, all this goes out the window. Because in reality, if I were to have a heavy saber, or even a shorter version of it like Guillermo has, it doesn't allow for fancy abanicos. It's heavy. I have to make my cuts, and I have to make them with determination and commitment. Okay? So let's say, for instance, if we're going to work the sword mindset, Natad and I will just work sword mindset. Cut, 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 and cut here. Cut, 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 cut here. And I might cut along here, 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 and here, and then here. See? Or here, here. Cut it off to the side. Go over here. I might cut here, 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 and here. Here, here, and here. Obviously, I won't be using a lot of thrusting because if I have a long machete or even a short sword, it'd be kind of like this. This is a good illustration. This isn't really meant for finesse, it's more for cutting. Here, 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 and here, and here, and here, and here. See? Two motion and cutting here. See? See? Now, if I have this kind of sword that maybe meant more for thrusting, then I have this mindset here. See? Then I can apply some of these techniques. See? So what you want to do when you're working with your students, make sure that they know what mindset they're applying, whether it's sword mindset, saber mindset, rapier mindset, and go accordingly. Make sure each student knows how to differentiate between sword and dagger, rapier and dagger, stick and dagger, all those being different, vastly different. Okay? That's the whole idea behind this. When we work with the sombrada is going to be done different whether I do saber mindset or even foil. Foil will be done different than the epic. If I'm doing, you see me do the saber before, okay? If I'm working saber mindset, okay, let's do some right. Slow. Okay, the whole idea behind this is, in reality, we'll be swinging heavier weapons, so we have to be sure of our cuts and faking, okay? We have to be sure. If we were working with, let's say, the two big hip bell guards, the face. Okay. Now from here, when we're working this, now the target's everywhere. If we were working with foils, it would be just this here, this B section here. But now we're working with this, and other targets everywhere. So whether I work with a four count or whether I work with the sombrada, his first shot would be up here because that's his first cut. And from here, mine is up, he'd be block. His second shot would be here, and I'd be here. And then continue the motion, see? Okay? And we go on and on and on with it, using the same target areas. If we're working with these, what would happen was, when he came up high, okay, he could come up here, 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 or even thrust here. This hand, if I have it in the way. By the same token, I would have to thrust here, I could thrust here. And when he goes, the block here. When he comes here, he can go down the leg. If you want to, see? Now we have different target areas. If we have the small foil, then we know that now we're safe. He's not going to attack the arm, the leg, the feet. Now it's just going to be the upper torso. Now we're okay. See? See? Now we're all right. Okay? So that's just some things you want to go through, think of if you try to transition and adapt. But when you go through the 4-count, hook for 4-count, you're going to be going saber mindset, you're going to be going rapier mindset, you're going rapier and dagger, saber and dagger, you're going to be going all the minds, yeah.
Rapier is similar to a saber?
No, rapier is totally different. This would be a rapier. In other words, I've done this before. Okay? Here, come over and hold this. Just try to manipulate that like you would a stick. It's hard to.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to make committed movements, right? Now if you have a rapier, that's meant for chopping and cutting. This is meant for thrusting. Now try to manipulate just for the thrust, right in here. Now you have the ability. So when you change mindsets, you think in terms of what the weapon you're having. So when you work with students, they have sticks in their hands. But you have to clarify to them that these are the parameters or rules within what you're doing right now. Don't deviate that. And then, like he could say, one of the students went out an equal. Well, he could do it with a stick, but he had this, obviously couldn't do it. He had this, it'd be real hard to do it. So you work within the parameters of the mindset that you're working on. Okay?
So this is a rapier.
That's a rapier.
Okay, similar to a foil.
Yes, but this was based on what the FA is. The foil, this is the foil real light. The FA is a little bit thicker. That was meant for dueling. And this was for dueling. Okay? The evolution again of the sword, it went from cutting rapiers, kind of like well, actually not quite like that, but it would be like some similar looking like this, with a long blade, thick blade, cutting on both edges. Then it developed into just a steel bar with a point on it, because they went to the thrust. Okay, that's the French. Spanish can maintain the cutting weapon and move in circles. Okay, so, all right. That's that. Then we'll move on. Where we at? Any questions on that? We've gone through so far. Any questions? Yeah.
Can you apply those to the double blades, like the Spanish, the short and long sword?
Yeah, rapier and dagger. That's what we do with the 4-count. When you get with the 4-count, you work with a stick and a dagger, we do the same thing, which is what we did. Then we did that with some of the other things. We can do that. Matter of fact, to go with this video right now, pick up the sword and dagger tape. It'll have that on it. What we do with the sword and dagger, rapier and dagger, and stick and dagger. We'll go all three mindsets. Okay. All right. Okay, now, Pat. Some of the concepts that we work with the stick and with the blades are concepts like disengage, counter parries, and so forth. If I have the parries, this is parry 1. He thrusts, this is 1. Okay, that's primo, 1. If he thrusts over here, this is 2. Okay, he thrusts up here, 3. Okay. So you take all parries you do, and you do this also with your dagger. Okay. Do this with your dagger, and then we'll do this with the sword. We'll go through all the parries. Hold on. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Do the same thing with your dagger. Once you get those, you start working with counter parries. Okay. If, let's say, for instance, he thrusts me up here. I go execute of number 5. Okay? He disengages, comes over, tries to do it again. I recounter. If I do again with number 5, simply call it counter 5, counter 5. If he thrusts up here, okay, here, he rethrust underneath, and I rethrust. That's just a counter parry. All these are just counter parries. This is a counter 3rd, again, counter 3rd. Okay? All right? Same thing with prime, or number 1. Here, he comes over, thrust, I step back and do the same parry, counter parry. That's all we're doing. Counter parries and the disengage. If I'm parrying Pat, and Pat parries, from right here, if I go right underneath, this is called a disengage. Doesn't matter if I'm parrying on this side, and Pat parries here, if I go underneath, it's called a disengage. Whether I do that with a stick, whether I do that with a bola, whether I do that with a rapier, whether I do with the sport FA, it's still a disengage. If I thrust underneath and Pat goes in a free for one, and I go overhead, it's called a cutover. Simple cutover. We can even be here. If Pat parries here, and I go over and cut over and execute for an imbrocado, or punta revés actually. It's simply cutting over. Going over, it's cut over. Underneath is disengage. Okay, reprise. Everybody's heard the word reprise. What does that mean? Just do something all over again. If I come in and we're here, and I come in here and Pat parries, okay, and I come in here and Pat parries, and I come in and finish off, all I'm doing is reprising. I'm not giving up on my attack. I'm just reprising. Reprise. Actually, it's a reprise. Reprise is a proper pronunciation. People call it reprise. Okay, so it's a reprise. A remise, on the other hand, is remise, or remis, proper pronunciation. If I'm here, Pat parries. I come in here, Pat parries. Parry back. Okay, now from right here, come and thrust. I go back in the guard, but I come in here. That's just a fancy way of saying remis. That's just their terminology. Just trying to give it to you guys. So you can understand what they're talking about. Reprise, remis, coupe, which is a cut over, it's coupe, dégagé, which is disengage. Okay? That's just in a repose. Yes?
In sport fencing, are there any slashes that count?
Yes, only with the saber. Only with the saber. Nothing with these, these are just thrusting weapons. If you slash with these, it doesn't count. It might give your opponent unhappy, but it won't count. The judge might yellow flag it. But the riposte, all riposte is kind of like the remis. It's just countering. Maybe thrust, this is just simple riposte. The remis was when we got more engaged into it. And that was doing mine, and he thrust me out. Then that was a remis. But it looks just like a riposte. This is just little things that you're able to, when you look at a fight, like good boxers. If you're a boxing fan and you watch what boxers are doing, you get two guys that are sitting and they're around with other guys. It's kind of like boxing if you're watching these guys. See that double thing? See how I stepped out? See what did he, he feinted, he drew him, didn't he? Yeah. And you see I caught over with the stop it, whatever. And you guys, these people know what they're talking about. They're looking at it. And see, that's the difference. Well, I want you guys to be able to understand what's really going on with the blade arts, so when you get with someone that tries to knock what you're doing, at least you know the language. You've gone beyond the mere slash. We all got the caveman slash. We all need a little bit of finesse here with the dagger too now. That's what I'm trying to get across. And when you have this makes all of this, when you're not fighting, in Indonesian, all that much easier. Okay? We all have this. Okay? We all have this. Without gross motion and movement. Let's get the lightness too. Okay? Let's get the lightness. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get across. Anyway, what else? Okay, we've already done the 12 strikes with the dagger and 4 parries. We've done that. Apply the rapier concepts with the multiplied huba. Get 2 sticks. One stick in the piece. And a dagger. You got a dagger? All we're doing with the multiple hit is applying rapier concepts. Yeah.
In sport fencing, it's more of thrusting.
With the FA and the foil. The foil, if you look in the master text, you see the foil is this target, all thrusting. With the FA, it's all thrusting with the entire body. Fingers, down to toes, head, ears, everything. Okay, thrusting. With the saber, it's cutting with a little bit of thrusting, but it's just upper torso. As if I was riding a horse, and all you could do, if you were slashing me, all you'd be getting is, you wouldn't want to hurt the horse, you want to save the horse. Because after you're done, when you guys win, you take their stuff. Okay, so you're slashing up, here, the hands, everything above the horse. Okay. Okay. Apply blood breaker concepts and multiple movement. All we did before, you guys seen this before, when we work, okay, see how we start off here with a, after a while, we're just going to start off with the thrust. Okay? And all I'm doing from here is either catching here and thrusting here, carrying here. After a while, this is just a basic version of it. What happens is, if I come in here, he'll disengage me, come in here, and I have to come in here and cut. Now you get the same motion. Or if I come out and disengage and go low, I have to come in here with a three. Come in here. Okay, or if I come here with a third, he might disengage, come up with a thrust here, and I come across here now, instead of low. Okay? He varies his different, see, his target might come here now, see, now I can come in here. See what we're doing? Different guards, see, that was a bad guard to use, because I just went across. Should have went here, see? And then, by the same token, I do the same thing here. When I thrust here, I disengage. Okay? After a while, I can do it all with one hand. Okay. You just put it in the knee. If I'm from here, you can disengage. That's it. See, I parry up here, and he can disengage, and I got to come here. Or if he thrusts in here, this first one, his first thrust might be here. Cut over. Now he's got me here. And I got to come here. All we're doing is just applying some of these things we talked about. Okay? Right here, look in mind. This is a disengage. Okay, from right here, this is disengage. Okay, in motion. All we're doing is just, see, these are regular concepts, but I'm kind of cutting, kind of shooting. I'm all a little bit shooting here. Okay? That's all we're doing. And after a while, you know, you start finishing it off in here. Just playing with it, playing with it, making regular concepts work. Okay? Anything on that? Okay, concepts, understanding and hand trapping in the multiple head tool bud. Okay, and which we've done before. You guys have it on different tapes. Decadena and the mono. Okay. In the multiple head tool bud, that implies empty hand. Okay, we've gone through those before. The 1 through 4. I have it in the advanced drills on it. Get the advanced drill tape to get in depth on this. But all this is, we work 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you come in on the inside, 1, hit here, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like you do with the stick. If I come in hit here, he grabs, punches, this is one trap. Okay? That's 1. From here, on my number 2, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go 1, 2, he grabs, punches, that's the second trap. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. If my 1, 2, and 3 is overpressed, comes in here, that's the third trap. From here I decided to grab it. 1, check here, hand trap here, or here. Okay, or my second shot grab, hand trap here. The other 1, 2 is on the 1, 2, 3, on the 4, he grabs, punches, that's here. So you got first, you didn't do that to both sides. You do that with the knife. Then you have your hand trap with the knife. Okay, you guys already know those, right? Okay. The knife in any grip, hand trap them any way you want. As I did in the video. Knife. From right here, also to reiterate something that I didn't do on the videotape that it was on the knife fighting seminar. I already got it. Was if I'm here on my number 2. Okay, 1, 2. If you decide to press my hand here and come in and cut. Okay, this is the counter here. Okay, so again, I'm in 1, 2, right? You press, come and cut. Okay, check here, cut. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and then cut. Check here, press. And his counter to that would be when we're here and he presses and cuts, and I step off. All he does is just retract his hand and cut my hand. That's it. And then cut it. That's all that was. Okay, but it's in the knife fighting and seminar video. Check that out too. Hand trapping the Decadena de mano also. The same hand traps can be done from different trajectories from the Decadena de mano, or Cadena de mano. From right here. When you're working here, when you first work with a student, you're here for a little bit, you know, kind of like a speed bag. We know in reality nothing, nobody stays there like that. So what happens is, from the first inception, he'll grab my hand, punch, and I'll go right into the hand trap. Okay? So you don't wait 100 hours before we finally get in the hand trap. We'll go right away, from right here. As I come in, as I check him, I go to back this, he grabs, go right into the hand trap here. So for either hand, right here. As I'm here, he can retrap, grab, go to the other side. Okay, then you build it up. I can grab his hand too. Here, boom, touch. I grab him, go in the hand trap. See? It's really self-explanatory. Do everything we did with the 4 count, apply it to this. And if you want, when you work with your students, you want to go the baby route. I don't mean baby, but baby steps. You can come in here, grab, punch, and go to here, or grab, here. Okay? And then, if you got those, you can do from any point in time. He may grab me, see? Punch. And once you get the 4 count, these become so simple. It's just a way of teaching students. And it just gives you another vehicle, another tool with which to teach them hand trapping. You know, so we don't take it real big serious, but it's fun. It makes the students a little fun too. Knife fighting concepts for all levels, souls de noche. What that means is this: you got your outside number 1, right? Working with a knife. Now you got your outside number 1 from the outside. So you're teaching. If you're teaching a new student a new movement, you got it on the outside, staying on the out. Then you have them towards the mid range. Outside number 1, now mid range, they can go in around. Then you have them closing. Okay. Now here you have the press and the cut, and in. Or you can have the press here, go to the set, stopping, and so forth. Okay. So you see, it's kind of self-explanatory. You start using the blade for everything that he's learned. Okay. You make him go through his knife fighting with outside number 1, inside number 1, with the number 1 disarm, and 1 disarm here, cut, disarm number 1, okay? Okay, so it's real simple. You have blade in this hand, comes in, you teach him to cut, teach him to disarm, and cut. Number 2 comes in, cut. Number 2, you got here, you can lock him in, or here, or you can enter this way, and go into your sleep, your descents, your southwoods, all that other good stuff, leg locks. Okay, all your movements go with a blade. Knife fighting concept. Know the difference between sword and dagger, rapier dagger, and stick and dagger. Okay, I thought I made that pretty clear. Right? If you get confused on that, it's in the tape. The sword and dagger tape. All the handout information that I have, you guys have it on you? Look at all the handout information I have, and that's the kind of stuff that we're going to need for the other level besides this class. Okay. Read out handout information that I have, all the fancy terminology. Like I said, I do it because it's our history of our blade arts. It's not just, it doesn't just belong to the French. It belongs to Spanish, the Germans, the Italians. I like to use Spanish terminology. I like to use French terminology, and I like to use Italian, some of the old Italian terminology. Like the French, I use mnemonic keys to understand some of the French stuff, like their inside line, outside line, high line, low line, dessous, dessous, you know. Dessous, I use mnemonic anchors. Dessous is low line. And why do I say, if I use dessous, how do I use that? Low? Because who would sue? Somebody low, right? It's low line. Okay? Deceive. It's high line. You see with your eyes, right? Okay? What are the other two terminologies for the other inside and outside? Inside outside line, the dot. The dot. It's pronounced, it looks like the dance, but it's pronounced the dot. The dot, something to die for, inside. That's inside line. Okay? Help me out here. What's the other one to do?
You're reading that.
Okay, here we go. Dior. Dior, which is spelled D-E-H-O-R-S, which is spelled Dior. That's like opening the door. Now you're outside on it. Dior did not do the That's just the French pronunciation. You don't have to use it. You can anglicize, recognize it. The ors, the dons, the sus, the sus. So that's how I do some of this stuff. Puñaladas, metisacas, and all that, those are their self-explanatory. Estocada is generic term for any kind of cut. Puñalada is one with the dagger or dirt, okay, or knife. Trapio is the fighting quality in bullfighting of an opponent or the bull, but it encompasses the entire aspects of it. Not just, you know, the guy looks tough. No, it covers, hey, what do his eyes look like? What's his demeanor? How's he breathing? What's his genetic makeup look like? You know, you take all that into account. That encompasses a lot more than just, hey, this guy looks tough. No, you look at it, and you know what? How tall is he? You know, does he look like he brushes his teeth? I mean, everything, that's trapio. You take a complete aspect of the opponent. Okay, what else are we missing that you guys went on there? Oh, I know what. Some of the things that, the way I teach the different passes in what I do. Okay? What I have, what I call sombra contada, or you can think of it as sombrada. Contada means counting. So you can call it sombrada contada, which means counting sombrada. I've done that what we got before. We'll start sombrada count consists of what? 10 movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, back to 1. Okay? So, we'll say I start with 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. I get my student real comfortable with that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, let's say for instance we go to 3 and it's my turn to, we'll stay at 3, but I'll finish off with a pass. They go 1, 2, 3. I'll come up with a pass here, and maybe end up here. Okay? And then we'll go to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now 4, I'm going to move again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. That's how I introduce the different passes, both sides. Okay, then we go to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so on until we get back to 3 again. Then it's his turn. So I'll go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that. 1, 2, 3. Now next time down 3, you move in. 3, 1. There you go. And so finally, when we get to counterfire, or what used to be called lock and block, I call it counterfire because now we can use sword and dagger in any which way we have, fashion, because we've learned it from this technique, exercise. They're not caught by surprise. They've already been practiced on how to enter because we freeze frame the form at each level, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so now they know how to enter. They'll either use by cutting, either thrusting into the chest or cutting the neck with a dagger, or going on this like cutting with the sword. Or if they want, when they come in, they might even practice cutting in here, backwards here. Or they might go in the passato sotto from here. You know, you might, let's see, 1, 2, 1. And boom, boom, here. Overhead, you might come with passato sotto, you might go in the quartata. Different things you can do from this one drill. You can teach a student how to enter at any moment. What it does is freeze frames him. When he's here and you want to enter there, you can enter from that side. When he's here, you can enter from this side. When he's here, you can enter both any side. And it kind of freeze frames him. So when we do go form like the lock and block drill, let's say for instance, let's do lock and block. Okay, doesn't lock and block here? Then lock and block. That's all right. What happens is, I come in here this way to Pat. All Pat does is just respond any way he wants for my technique. Okay, exactly. Okay, just responds. Okay, so I might come in here, feed him here, here, and here. What you need to do is be able to respond in any which way you want, in any which way fashion you want. We'll get into that a little bit. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So all that is, You want to try it? Yeah. Okay. Good. Feed. So you come in here, come in here. That's it. Just practice feeding here. Just practice, just flow with it. See? Practice flowing with it. Okay? And what happens is with some of the counterfire techniques, you stay here, let the person finish here, come in here, finish. You start off with basics. First with the counting sombrada. Then you start off with here, freeze, freeze. Here, freeze, here, freeze. And after a while, you come in here, and a flow. Okay? All right. Any other questions on some of the handouts? Go to the flow through the handouts. Yeah.
A little bit more of the terminology, the philosophy of the duende.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a...
I have an entire article on duende, and I have a little piece in one of the handouts on duende. But basically, it's a term that tries to, when you see it, it's like something, you can't put words to it. So the nearest thing you can do is duende, like some otherworldly, goblin, fairy. When you see talent that defies almost description, you see a bullfighter. Does everything perfect. The bull is so terrible and fierce. I mean, it's like, man, it's scary, but the bullfighter just, it's like they both stepped out of a different arena, and they both were so incredible. And it's a rare quality. People say they both had, or he had duende. You get a flamenco dancer, he gets into a state where they move everyone, and it's like almost electricity around them. They say that dancer has duende. Or that can be quite almost anything. You could say at their peak, and when they were both at their peak, both Sosa and McGuire had duende. You know, they did it. They had that quality, and you know, just for that one shining moment, you know. But that's just a similar quality that says, hey, these guys got it. Bruce Lee, like I wrote in that article, Bruce Lee had, you know, had duende. But
duende then is more, it's beyond chi, it's beyond energy, it's beyond aura.
well, remember that we all have the same stuff within us, regardless of what culture we come from. And that's another story that I'll get into later on, but it isn't for this tape. But the history of why, like, the people acknowledge, like, the Eastern, but don't acknowledge their own Western esoteric traditions like that is because they were underground. They didn't come up. Otherwise, duende would be a common term like chi, or like magnetism or aura or something. But it was kept in the ground for a reason, because of the Spanish Inquisition. The Inquisition, a lot of our esoteric knowledge that we have as common knowledge is pushed under because of power, greed, and really power and greed and money. So otherwise, that's why Western esoteric tradition died out. It didn't die out, but it went underground. And we've seen different flowerings of it. And like I said, my idea, my thinking here isn't to convert anybody, or it's just to talk the truth. And there's a generic form of spiritualism that doesn't have anything to do with religion, but it's like, you know, people say, well, you know what, locomotives weren't in the Bible, but there are locomotives, there are airplanes. Just because it wasn't in the Bible doesn't mean you don't acknowledge it. I mean, it's real. Okay, so in that same sense, there's certain laws like, you know, you are what you eat. I hope that doesn't offend anybody in the right-wing Bible belt, but God, it's just a truism. You are what you eat. You are what you drink. But no more importantly than that, you go a step farther, and the Hermetic philosophy taught you are what you think, and what you attract is what you think about all day long. And some of the things that Anthony Robbins and all these other self-help gurus out there, they're getting from Hermetic philosophy, they're getting from Seth, they're getting from all these other little, but they can't tell you that because then you throw rocks at them. So they give you the truths in the form of neuro-linguistic programming, and neuro-linguistic programming is nothing but based on Hermetic old esoteric traditions. So that's a lot of stuff that's out there. But I'm not here to get into that. That's just, I'm here to talk about it. And again, with my philosophies and the things that I teach, you know, has nothing to do with getting rank or getting higher, the highest rank. You don't have to have one to have the other. It's just there, like, if you want it, you know. So many histories. All that my mysteries are is just the histories explained, no more than that. I think I'm not trying to give you anything. It's just the histories explained, and you take what you want or leave it all. It has nothing to do with getting rank in this. It's just explaining, uncovering history. Because Noche's lineage from the Octagon, from the Jesuits, that were in Japan in the 17th century. I was talking to Bruce about that. The Jesuits took it over. And the Jesuits also had the Kabbalah and the Hermetic philosophy. And they squashed that until later on towards after the Inquisition. But the Jesuits kept it the longest. And so I have a feeling that's why Noche was a Christian reverend, because his long line of family was probably involved in that. And that's where he got some of the Octagon in this. Anyway, that's another story. But anyway, okay, any other questions on the handouts? So you see, really what happens is you get like the greens, browns, and blacks. It's more concept, right? Not so much learning new technique, but it's concept. Applying what you already have and going with the concept. Knife fighting, know the difference between sword and dagger, raking dagger, stick and dagger. Read and understand the handout information. That, like I said, the reason why there's any specifics on that, like read and understand, that's very general. So you don't have all of it, that doesn't necessarily get that. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to have that for your rank in the first black. But the other stuff that's above that, that's all technique, and that's, you should know pretty much that stuff. Okay? Any other questions on that? Finish an hour before class. Okay. Why don't we take a 5-minute break, and in case you have other questions, we'll get that on the tape, all right? Okay, 5-minute break. Like that, there's a lot of leeway for personal creativity. Okay? A lot of leeway in there for a reason, because that's what I was taught by my several different teachers. One, you guys know well, contributes judgment, another. And of many of the innumerable other people that I've come by, taught and learned from, and I think those two stand out as the most open-minded and as the most go out and explore and mix and match and create. So that's the spirit that I do my teaching the same way. Go into different mindsets. If you do it a little bit different, that's okay. You guys teach your students the way you wish, but when you get down to these other concepts, you see that when you mix and match and you see the principles behind everything, you understand what you guys are. You understand now, but your students will understand what you were trying to teach them. Okay, any other questions on those other handouts? All those principal passes that I have, those are mine. You want to use that kind of concept when you do your numbering sombrata, counting sombrata. If you want to do it during your counterfire, that's fine. But like I just have a chest pass, a punishment pass. What's that? Wasn't that killing? Was it the killing techniques? Killing techniques is the death pass, pass de la muerte. Pass
Killing techniques on that cake.
That's funny. Yeah. Anyway, all these are just for my own purposes, but you can use them if you want. I got all these handouts. If you have any questions on those, let me know. Again, these series are meant to go with those other tapes that I have already, so to kind of clarify if you get stuck. Any other questions? We'll bow out, and then I have a couple of announcements after we bow out. Okay? I know you're tired. Everybody's tired. Thank you guys for coming. Okay, thanks. All right, now it's done.